we left off with the swing pattern that I created. Yeah?
Yes, sir. Yes.
And how are you doing it now? Like, how are you making out?
I haven't been able to practice. Well, I just got the new turntable the day before yesterday,
Uh-huh.
and honestly, my right wrist was killing me, man, just from juggling and scratching. I think especially with that bum deck.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow.
I wanted to take it easy for the last couple of days. So I haven't really practiced much at all. I mean, just sort of mixing.
You started to catch on to it towards the end of the last session. So
I got it down. I sent you the video with a variation of it, and you said good. Keep personalizing it.
so let's just talk about the pattern itself. Um, as I was saying to you in our last lesson, I created it due to some encouragement, I'd say, from Dr. Butcher, basically calling me out for settling for learning the patterns the way the guys that I was studying did them. You know what I mean?
Right.
When he gave me Nobody Beats the Biz, something happened, man. Like, I got zapped by God or something, dude, because, like, it finally clicked in a very organic way what I was supposed to do on music that I was working with. That each song is unique, and I need to approach each song for its uniqueness and individuality, and not just force patterns that I may have learned on other previous songs that other previous DJs did onto like new songs that I was picking up. So the patterns that I created on Nobody Beats the Biz, and again, sometimes I use the word created and I kind of catch myself because I don't necessarily feel like we create patterns. I'm more inclined to think that the patterns exist and we stumble across them and then fine tune them and then build
Discover them, right?
Yeah, exactly. So all the patterns that I do on Nobody Beats the Biz were new patterns that no one was doing back then. Back then, everyone was copying Steve D. So I wanted to break away from that because Butcher was pushing me to do so. And when I started practicing with Nobody Beats the Biz, something just fucking happened, man. And the swing pattern came to be. Now,
Right.
I have multiple variations of the swing pattern. I taught you one way, one approach to do it, but I have other approaches. And the reason I teach my students one approach is because I don't want you guys to make the mistake that I did when I was training under Dr. Butcher. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I teach you one way to get your brain to understand the potential of the pattern. But then it's on you guys to push yourselves and try to stretch the pattern and either stumble across the other variations that I created or come up with your own. And as you said, like you sent me some video throughout the last 2 weeks showing me that you weren't just settling for doing the pattern the way I did it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so I mean, this whole time, right? You're showing a basic framework, and within that framework, there's endless potential for, variability, I guess.
It never ends. It's limitless, dude. And you just have to have the mindset of what now? And then figure that out and then ask again, what now? And then what now? And the more you ask what now, the more that path unfolds and you allow yourself to kind of like keep moving forward with the pattern. And obviously, it is up to you to decide when to stop asking what now and when you're done with a move and when is the right time to move on. That's up to you, but you could take a pattern as far as you want.
Right.
So going off that sentiment, let's talk about a second variation of the swing pattern that I created. This part, I'm actually going to demonstrate it on Nobody Beats the Biz. And what happened was, as I was saying, my mentality, my mindset was, after training with Dr. Butcher, was to ask, what now? And after I came up with the beginning section of Nobody Beats the Biz, I was like, what now? Like where else can I take this song? So I went to the end, And at the end, Biz just says a lot of cool shit. Let's listen to it together. I just like that. I like that he was saying to get funky, like, because my juggles at the time, I wanted them to be funky. You know what I mean? Even to this day, like when I juggle, although I'm more technical in my moves now, I still want to be funky. And hearing him say that just did something to me. So I started fucking around with that part of the song, and I came up with this. You see how I do the swing with the kick snare, but then it also inverts?
Yeah.
That move, the part where it inverts, right? The beginning move. That part right there. See how I kind of like swing from the left to the right?
Yeah.
That part helps me set up the loop so that I could invert it.
Right.
And what was happening was, without me realizing it,
because you weren't inverting the first pattern, right?
No.
Earlier in the song.
No, the first pattern that I taught you with the kick snare swing is what I would call a circular juggle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But unbeknownst to me, I didn't realize this was happening. In order for me to keep looping the pattern, I had to invert it.
Right.
Like the Rock the Bells pattern. So what happened was, I do the routine in the 1992 East Coast DMC, and the routine was so, not to toot my own horn or anything like that, but I feel like the routine was so progressive and just so new that it really made an impression on the judges, and thankfully I won the battle. So then everyone started to try to teach themselves those moves, and that's what happens at DMCs. Like, the year that you're entering, all the DJs that you're competing against are studying the champion from the previous year. And they're trying to learn the champion's moves. For whatever reason, people just follow that formula of, all right, this guy did these things to win. If I do these same things, maybe I could win.
Whether, because I know you and other experienced battle DJs have criticized a lot of competitions now for not being progressive. So you're saying, even though it's not progressive, people are studying, people are trying to emulate the past champions?
Yeah. Isn't that weird? Like, the mentality, the mindset is, well, if this guy from last year won by doing these things, if I follow the same formula, I will win. It's kind of like following the trend. Whatever's trending, that's what you do to achieve success, instead of setting a whole new trend. Right. And that's what people miss out on, is the fact that that's what people underestimate and underappreciate, is the fact that the guy that set the trend won because he set a trend, not because he was following something that was done before him. Obviously, we all follow after each other. We all kind of nibble off each other. But the champion usually does something different from what everyone else is doing. And that's what separates the champion of that year from everyone else, is he does one or two things different. And in so doing, a new trend is growing. But for whatever reason, a lot of DJs have the mindset of like, well, if this worked for that guy, it should work for me. And they miss out on the fact that, no, what worked for him was being different. So what was happening was, after I won my battle, a lot of DJs started then trying to learn my swing pattern and the different variations of it. So the move that I taught you a couple of weeks ago that asks you to swing the kick snare
Yep.
And then loop back on the opposite turntable, and then go back to the same turntable you swing the kick snare on.
Yep.
That move, people were learning. It's not a difficult move to do. Like, if you understand it, you could learn it within minutes if you're good at it, right? But the move or the variation that I stumbled across on the song that requires me to invert the pattern, that was confusing people. Because it's not easy to invert a pattern, like when you're looping a pattern, to stop in the middle of the pattern and then switch the side that you're starting the pattern from.
Right.
So Shortkut was trying to teach himself the version of the swing pattern. Shortkut from the Invisible Scratch Pickles, the legend.
Yes.
When he...
Yeah, I've heard you tell the story, right? Where he was working with Redmatic, right? And he was getting stuck. And he kept going forward, though, right?
Right.
And Red was like, yo, it sounds funky, just stick with it, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
He couldn't figure out how to execute the version of the swing pattern that inverted. So in trying to invert it, he kept making the mistake of going forward into the song. And as you said, he was frustrated. Thankfully, he was working with Redmatic that day. He was practicing with him. And Red was like, dude, stop. Like, fine, you're not inverting the pattern, but are you hearing what you're doing? Like, moving forward into the song sounds just as dope. Why don't you just do that? Instead of trying to learn it the way Rob does it, you're doing it your own way. Why don't you just keep building on that? And Shortkut stopped and was like, oh shit. Like, I didn't realize this sounded dope too. Like, I was so fixated on trying to learn it the way Rob does it. I wasn't aware that what I was doing now, although it was a mistake, it wasn't the way Rob was originally doing it. It was a happy mistake. It sounded
a happy accident, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Happy accident, exactly. So he started building on it, and it became the fucking chase pattern.
Right.
And then guess what? He set a new trend because now he was doing something different from the way I was doing it. And in setting a new trend, then everyone started copying the chase. And then the chase then became the popular move. So
and it's still sort of ubiquitous, right? Like I thought you were saying that even in today's battles, people are overusing the chase, right?
Overusing it. Instead of building on the chase and trying to take it somewhere else, which you can, people are just stuck. They're happy learning it the way Short does it. But thankfully, Shortkut had someone like Redmatic next to him practicing, telling him, dude, chill. Like, fine, you're not doing it the way Rob does it, but you're doing it your own unique way. Build on that. And Shortkut, for that move, dude, has become a legend in this art form. And if he would have only strived to learn my version of the swing pattern, maybe he wouldn't be the Shortkut that we all know and love today. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
I take the time out, man, to give you that little anecdote, again, to just implant in your brain, man, to give you the incentive to always push, always figure out a better way, a newer way, a different way of doing or executing a pattern. So obviously, before you break the rules, though, you got to understand them. So let's just talk about Shortkut's chase pattern.
Did he make this pattern popular with his beatbox routine?
Yeah, that Art of Noise beatbox routine.
Yep.
That shit, dude. It just sounds so dope. Like the kicks and the snares and the other little nuances of the song. When you apply the pattern there, it just sounds fucking crazy, man. Like, you just can't help but bop your head. And I think that goes to show you have to also have good taste in music. Like, you could learn a pattern or learn a move, but if you're not applying it to good music that once you play the song, you're grabbing the attention of your audience. And yeah, you could be going through the motions of beat juggling, but it may not sound as captivating or as interesting as it does when the legends do it, because we are very conscious of the music that we use. I teach you on Steezo because it's straightforward drums. They're clear sounding drums. They're not noisy. But once you learn the pattern, then you have to find the right music to apply these patterns to.
Right. Absolutely.
With the shortcut chase, what's happening is, as we both agreed, you're moving forward into the song. So that's the shortcut chase. And what he's,
go ahead.
Well, what he's doing is the middle part, the bridge part that allows me to invert the pattern. He just keeps doing it every bar. So it's like he lets the wax rotate forward. He never rewinds.
Right.
Whereas I would do the middle, that move, that little transition from left to right. I would apply it to help me invert the pattern and rewind back to the beginning of the section that I was juggling.
Mm-hmm.
In failing to understand how to do that, he kept moving forward and then fucking stumbled across this way of beat juggling. So
right.
What I want you to do, or you were going to ask me a question.
Yeah. So are you paying, or do you know where the kicks and the snares are, or are you just, or are you just sort of staggering it in a rhythm?
Well,
you know, does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Okay.
I
mean, obviously by now you know where everything falls.
Yeah,
I mean,
when I do the pattern, I use my eyes. Why not? Why not allow your eyes to help you get through the move?
Of course.
But technically, it's feel. I use my eyes because my sense of sight helps me execute the pattern even more accurately. But I don't need to use my eyes. And let me just give you a quick example. I have this towel here, right?
Yep.
And I'm going to blindfold myself. And I'm just doing this to prove a point. I'm just doing this to prove a point to you. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, those fills were dope, man.
Yeah, and I went the extra mile and I did extra fills blindfolded again to prove my point that I don't need my eyes to help me because really it's feel, but I do use my eyes. If I'm not blindfolded, why not use my eyes and look at the mark so that I'm even more accurate?
Right.
So,
okay. Yeah, because I remember Jay Espinoza. He did the blind chase in the U.S. World, the Red Bull U.S. Worlds the year before or last, right before he won it. I mean the Nationals.
Yeah.
And then I remember commenters were like, "Oh, that's dope. He did the blind chase," and I was thinking it was dope too. But now this just lets me know that, well, shit, man. I mean, if you have the feel, you don't even need to look at your markers.
Doing it blind is great for show, and it creates the illusion that you're doing something at a higher degree of difficulty.
Right.
In this case, the chase pattern. But honestly, it's an illusion. That's just a magic trick. Because at the end of the day, you don't need your eyes to do this move. You could just do the move without looking and just establish a pocket of movement, a sweet spot of movement. Don't
Yep.
break away from that, and you're good to go. The move will come out. So,
Well, it's sort of almost like that first lesson on the breakdown pattern. I mean, you're not looking where you're tapping. I mean, you're looking at the record that you're rewinding on.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But the theatrics in battles count. So if you could make something look more difficult than it actually is,
yeah,
A, you're going to impress the audience, and B, if the judges, if it's not like expert master judges, they could be fooled too into thinking you're doing something crazier than it actually is.
absolutely.
So, and you know what? I will say, I have a feeling that a lot of these guys that are doing blindfolded chase patterns got that shit from me. Because I did a video on YouTube. I posted a video on YouTube with a student of mine doing the Sucker MC snare fills blindfolded to prove the same point to him. And at that point, nobody was doing chase patterns blindfolded. So I don't know. I kind of have a feeling that dudes got that shit from me, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. Or it's just blown up so much that they got it from everywhere.
Right, exactly. True.
Yeah.
So what I want us to do is I want us to learn that first move, that move that helped me bridge the pattern so that it inverted on Nobody Beats the Biz. That's the move that you're just repeating over and over again. And instead of rewinding to the top of the section of the song that you're working with, you're just moving forward. So cue up to the beginning of Steezo on Both Sides.
Okay, I'm there.
And I just want us to work on doing this. You're going to start on the right turntable, and you're just going to do this.
Sorry. What was that?
So you're going to go 1 and 1 and 2. 1 and 1 and 2. So it's kick, 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 snare. So this is the 1 and you're giving me that on both sides, 1 and 1 and then you come back on the snare on the right turntable. Practice doing that for now. All right, stop. Yo, you know how? Are you aware that you're dropping on 16th notes?
No.
You are. The swap from right to left is a 16th note drop. So when you swap back to the right and you cue up that snare, you got to drop that on a 16th note as well. You're dropping it on a quarter. So you're going kick, 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 snare, kick, 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 snare.
Oh, I see.
Whereas I go kick, 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 snare, kick, 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 snare.
Yep.
So you gotta drop that right turntable, the snare, on a 16th note. Every drop is 16th.
So quick.
Right. No, but don't do the Rock the Bells.
What's that?
Don't do the Rock the Bells crossover. That's it.
Bum, 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 bum.
Right. Stop. That's it. You got it.
Okay.
You got it. Good job.
Yeah, I just have to hear it. Hear what the pattern sounds like. I think this is the best way. I'm realizing how I'm learning these juggles.
Any idea what the next step is?
So it's the kick, 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 snare, and then kick, snare.
No, that's the
No. Yeah,
That's
because
the
that would be
inverted
rewinding.
version.
You don't want to rewind.
Right. So what do you think you have to do next?
So it's going to be snare hat.
No, not snare hat. It's snare snare.
Is it snare snare? Okay.
Are you sure? Okay, like are you?
No. Do it one more time.
I'm giving you kick, and then listen for what I'm giving you after that.
Yep.
The answer's right in front of you.
Kick, snare.
Yeah, that's it. It's another
Yep.
snare. I'll do it one more time, but also listen. Every drop is a 16th note drop. Be careful about dropping on a quarter note, or else you're going to sound like those DJs that do the chase, but they sound robotic. You know? Like, your chase has to swing, and in order for it to swing, you got to drop on 16th notes. You gotta be careful because a lot of dudes chase like this. That's how a lot of dudes chase.
And that's too slow.
It's too slow, and it's not funky. It's robotic. It's very stiff. Okay? So now, in order for you to introduce that snare on the left side, what do you got to do?
You gotta rewind it back a little bit, right?
Right. Or maybe a better word is pull back a little bit.
Pull back.
And where are you pulling back to?
Okay.
Where are you pulling back to?
It's gonna happen at 4:00.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So you always pull back to the beginning of the other turntable that you just pulled back to.
Right.
Does that make sense?
No. Sorry.
If the left turntable pulls back to 415.
Oh yeah. That makes sense.
You got to pull back the right to 415 because you're chasing the same spot of the song.
Yeah.
That's why they call it the chase pattern because one turntable is chasing the other.
Right.
Let's try it. Don't get careless now. Be focused.
Relax. Gotta remember to breathe.
Yep. Biceps, let's go. Yo, biceps, let's go. Right now, yeah. Hell yeah, good shit.
Right on, man.
Look, it was
a little sloppy, but I kept pocket.
Yeah, it wasn't perfect, but you got to the end and you get the pattern, dude. And it's just going to get cleaner and cleaner the more you do it. I just wanted you to start the pattern and finish it.
Right.
And stay within the pocket, and you did. Was it perfect? No. But it's going to get more and more accurate as you practice this.
Right. Get it dialed in. Get the muscle memory down.
Yo, good job, man. Good job.
Right on.
You really stuck with it today, man. You started off really shaky with this. Like, remember, you wanted to rewind. You kept doing the Rock the Bells pattern. And I knew at some point it was gonna click, and it has.
Yeah, right on, man. Yeah.